Howdy folks, Tex Grebner here with Tex Grebner Outdoors. New videos every week, so if you don't want to miss out on Motivational Monday, Weird Wednesday, and your Tex Grebner Outdoors Saturday morning cartoon awesomeness, make sure to click subscribe, check that notification box, and make sure to leave me a comment because I love reading them. Make sure I know you was here. So the point of this video here is going to be going over the gear that I'm going to be taking into the woods with me this whitetail season, because at this point in my life I don't have the budget, despite me doing train to hunt, to actually go on any real destination hunts. Also, I feel that I need to validate my career as a film hunter in my own backyard before I go somewhere else and perhaps hire a guide and so on. I feel like I've got to do it for myself. Now, no amount of gear will ever make animals show up, because if we're talking free-range critters, we're talking wild and free majestic creatures that I want to kill with sticks. But because they're wild and free majestic creatures, don't matter how many pictures on a trail camera you have, they get to change their mind. So in a way, I personally look at hunting as a form of nature worship, and if you want to get real weird, I guess animal sacrifice. However, up to this point, very few animals have ever been harmed on the filming of Tex Grebner Outdoors. But I am pretty hopeful. First of all, while I'm thinking about it, if you guys start filming your hunts, I would love to be able to feature you on my channel during the upcoming season. Make sure that you get me links to what you're doing, because ain't nobody helped me when I was getting started in this. So I want to be here for you guys and gals, the next generation, to try and get you some exposure so that you don't give up on your dreams. But the gear that I'm going to be taking with me, because I'm pretty exclusively hunting on the ground, being a traditional bow hunter. Some guys want to talk about how far away they killed them. I would rather talk about how close I killed them. I'm talking I want a 5-yard shot with a good wind when it doesn't even know I'm there, and the arrow is on the other side of that animal, through the lungs and through the heart, before that animal even hears that string. Because a lot of people also talk about hunters having something to prove. Well, frankly, yeah, I've got something to prove. I need to prove myself against my ancestors. I've got a compelling need, and I feel no shame about it. I don't tell you how to live your life. So, first of all here, we're going to be talking about my camo. I have worn Sitka, I have worn Kuiu, I've worn a whole bunch of real crappy Walmart Realtree over the years. And the brand that I have really settled on is the First Lite brand, because they make clothing in a working man's price range that will hold up year after year, and it works. Granted, doesn't matter what kind of camo pattern you've got on if the wind changes and they smell you. But this is the First Lite Woodberry jacket. Love it. It's good for autumn. I need to layer up pretty hardcore underneath of it. But the First Lite Woodberry jacket, this is a large, so if you're built like me, 6 foot and broad shouldered, a large is going to be just fine. It's also tailored and fitted clothing, so you don't have to worry about, when you're a traditional bow hunter, having a whole bunch of clothing bunched up and not being able to have string clearance. So while I do like the First Lite pattern, it's mostly for me about the functionality of the actual clothing, because you can get away with anything in October. Now while I'm at it, I'm just going to rant here for a second, because truthfully, a lot of this high-speed, low-drag, ultralight clothing is simply too lightweight for actually serious whitetail hunting beyond October. Okay? The fact is, when you're hauling a pack around the mountains, you need super breathable, super lightweight clothing. Because when you get 30, 40, 50, 100 pounds in a pack on your back, you will sweat like a dog. It's just a fact. So because this backpack style clothing from KUIU and Sitka is designed to be worn with mountain and alpine style hunting, where you're always active, and most of the hunting is done in September and October, I have found that it's just too lightweight to take it really far into actual whitetail season here in the Midwest, where a 30 below day deer season, 30 below Fahrenheit deer season day in December is rare, but not out of the question. So these are the Sanctuary bibs. These are pretty awesome, okay? Love them. Full of pockets. They have what's quaintly named the Call of Nature seat, where you can literally drop your zippers and drop a turd in the woods without having to strip out everything off, like the old kind of union suit red long underwear. So they've actually got a well-designed seat, and they've got full leg zips. What I really like about these is, one, they're excellently insulated, they're lightweight, and they're very well fitted. So they're very high speed. But what you can do is, so that you don't sweat, because this stuff will make you sweat in the later seasons if you're active in it, is take your long johns. I wear First Lite Allegheny bottoms that are 330 gram merino wool. Awesome in my opinion, because a lot of, as I said, a lot of merino wool clothing companies are just too light for serious taiga or deciduous style winter weather. But you zip them down, then you zip them down, open your legs, just walk with your long underwear underneath of them in there. Then when you get there, pull them up, close your zips, and you're fine. I find that what really drew me to First Lite, other than their unashamed stance on American public lands, is simply the fact that they're a working man's brand of clothing that gives me what I need to keep me out there when the weather starts to suck. Because honestly, I would rather climb a mountain when it's 90 degrees, and trust me, check out Train to Hunt Nationals this year. I've seen me do it. I'd rather climb a mountain when it's 90 degrees than sit on a pig stool when it is like, I don't know, 15 below, whitetail winter. And truthfully, that is some mental toughness right there. When you go out day after day, not knowing if you're going to see something, and just sit there, and sit there, and sit there. This is my 75-pound Martin Hunter Recurve. Why do I shoot 75 pounds? Well, if you think about it, back in the old days of the renaissance of bow hunting for the 20th century, because this was all we had in the early 20th century, there was nothing else. So bows of this weight were not uncommon. Also, it's a great piece of history, and people have told me that I would shoot better with lightweight bows, so on and so forth. I feel most confident in this bow, and I feel most comfortable in this bow, and I also want to make sure that I've got the tackle in case I ever end up with the money to actually bow hunt dangerous game. So that's why I use a Cape Buffalo bow for whitetail. Now I've also got camera mounts on here as well. So just going to set this back here. Quiver that I use is a BowMate Elite. It is a seal top tubular style quiver. I have beat the dog shit out of this thing, dropping it out of tree stands. And right now I don't have a strap on it because I've got it to where it can strap on the side of my Kifaru if I actually need to pack something out. By the way, stay tuned to my channel because at some point I'm actually going to give a full detailed review on Kifaru packs versus Slumberjack packs, because now that I've ran them both at Train to Hunt national events and qualifiers, I feel that I can give a credible review of some hardcore mountaineering equipment. But, moving on, this has a water bottle or piss bottle pocket. And, by God, I found my rangefinder. I had cleaned out my Jeep and found it kicked under the seat. So I had lost this thing for about 2 years. Found it again. This is an old school Bushnell Yardage Pro Sports 450. So I'm just going to put that in there so that I don't lose it again. Now, competition-wise, rangefinders are nice because you can figure out your point on. But like I say, the only range that I need to know is it too far? That's all I really care about. But it is damn handy to actually be able to sit down in your location when you get there and range around what you've actually got going on, so that if an animal does show up, you don't have to be dicking around with it then. Arrows. Now I've got videos on how to build the deadliest arrow. I've put a lot of work into it. There's a lot of science behind it. So, obviously I shoot feather fletchings off the arrow shelf on my Martin Hunter. This is an Ashby style broadhead by Grizzly Stick. I'm using Easton full metal jackets. And I'm also using Nocturnal Nocks. Total arrow weight for me is about 800 grains by the time I'm done, because I've also got a 100 grain brass insert in the arrow. But like I say, I hunt whitetail with Cape Buffalo tackle because there's no such thing as too much penetration, because an animal can spin at your string and you can end up with a less than ideal shot angle by the time that your arrow gets there. So that's my quiver, that's my camo. Obviously, got the Kifaru tactical pack here, Ranger Green. This is the cargo panel, and I'm going to have a full review on this at some point in the future. But up here in my cargo panel pocket, I have a Wild Game Innovations, I believe. Yes, Wild Game Innovations trail camera card viewer. Headlamp, little headlamp. And I have a multi-tool in here. Well, that was anticlimactic as hell. There we go. Havlon Barracuda Blaze, as if I'm ever going to really need a skinning or boning knife. But I'm also a big fan of the Cold Steel Large Voyager. for a couple of reasons. One, it's an excellent everyday carry knife. It's got a good strong lock so that I can hack away at shooting lanes if I absolutely have to. And it's got a good strong blade so that I can bore some pilot holes for my camera arm. Check your local regulations, because if you're hunting on public ground, there's a high likelihood that it's illegal in your area to spike trees. So you'd have to get a strap down camera mount. But this is an Allen Company camera mount. So I would find out where I want to be, bore a pilot hole, thread this in, position it as to where I want it to be, where I think the animal's going to come from, and there I go. This is basically what I use. It's a long, so that if I've got to, I can screw it into a log that's on the ground. Also, because I am hunting on the ground pretty exclusively, I also pack in one of these bow stands. There we go. And it just works like that. Ta-da! That way, I can just lift my bow out and shoot. So that's the kind of shot I want to be taking. So thus far, that's what I'm working with. This here for a ground setup bow hunter, invaluable. I do have Sitka here. This is a Sitka incinerator muff. It works pretty alright, but when it gets that cold, it is damned handy to have some Zippo heaters. I've got some Zippo fluid. I've got the filler for the hand warmers. And of course, I've got a Zippo and another couple of lighters in there. Now see, the thing is, when it comes to winter and late season whitetail hunting, especially with traditional gear, you got to keep your hands warm, because shooting a traditional recurve with thick, heavy gloves on or mittens is not very forgiving at all. And I don't want to screw it up, because pretty exclusively in the off season I practice with just a regular archery glove or a pair of mechanics gloves and so on. So I want to be able to chill on my pig stool or on my low-hanging tree stand with my hands in the muff, pull them out, pick up the bow, and take the shot. As always, God bless all my sportsmen of America. Join the NRA to protect your rights. Please check out my friends over at SOETacticalgear.com. Thank you very much to those of you involved in law enforcement and those of you serving in the military. Thanks for watching Tex Grebner Outdoors.